Update on the Trayvon Martin murder case. Orlando, Florida. Trayvon Martin was shot through the heart at close range. George Zimmerman had a broken nose, bruises, and bloody cuts on the back of his head. The lead investigator in the case wanted to charge Zimmerman with manslaughter in the weeks after the shooting, but was overruled. A police report shows the 17-year-old had been shot in the chest and had been pronounced dead at the scene. The autopsy says the fatal shot was fired from no more than 18 inches away. The evidence supporting Zimmerman's defense includes a photo showing the neighborhood watch volunteer with a bloody nose on the night of the fight. A paramedic report says Zimmerman had a 1-inch laceration on his head and forehead abrasion. It may have occurred when Zimmerman leaped out of his truck to confront Martin. Bleeding, tenderness to his nose, and a small laceration to the back of his head. All injuries have minor bleeding. Paramedic Michael Brandy. The investigator who called for Zimmerman's arrest, Christopher Serino, told prosecutors that the fight could have been avoided if Zimmerman had remained in his vehicle and awaited the arrival of law enforcement. He said Zimmerman, after leaving his vehicle, could have identified himself to Martin as a concerned citizen and talked to him instead of confronting him. The report was written on March 13th, nearly a month before Zimmerman's eventual arrest. The detective said there is no evidence Martin was involved in any criminal activity as he walked from a convenience store to the home of his father's fiancée in the same gated community where Zimmerman lived. The police concluded that none of this would have happened if George Zimmerman hadn't gotten out of his car, said attorney Ben Crump. If George Zimmerman hadn't gotten out of his car, they say it was completely avoidable. That is the headline. Two acquaintances painted an unflattering picture of Zimmerman in police interviews. A distraught woman told an investigator that she stays away from Zimmerman because he's racist and because of things he's done to her in the past. But she didn't elaborate on what happened between them. I don't at all know who this kid was or anything else, but I know George, and I know that he does not like black people. He would start something. He's very confrontational. It's in his blood. We'll just say that, the unidentified woman says in an audio recording. A man whose name was deleted from the audio told investigators that he worked with Zimmerman in 2008 for a few months. It wasn't clear which company it was. The man, who described his heritage as Middle Eastern, said that when he first started, many employees didn't like him. Zimmerman seized on this, the employee said, and bullied him. Zimmerman wanted to get in with the clique at work, so he exaggerated a Middle Eastern accent when talking about the employee, the man said. The employee told investigators that Zimmerman made reference to terrorists and bombings when talking about him. It was so immature, said the employee, who ended up writing a letter to management about Zimmerman. Notice the blood dripping down Zimmerman's head, as if Zimmerman was atop Trayvon Martin. If Zimmerman were underneath innocent victim Trayvon Martin, as Zimmerman claims, the drips would be dripping the other way, to the back of Zimmerman's head, not dripping forward. That indicates that Zimmerman was on top of Trayvon Martin.